Okay, here we have a problem where we're going to try to figure out what is the value of this variable right here. We have v, and we need to figure out what the value of v is. As I go through my process, I'm going to be explaining my thinking as I go. Now, the math practice that I want to use on this one is number 7. You know, since this here is an equation, I think I'm going to use the structure of the equation, but I'm going to use the inverse operations to solve it, to try to figure out what the value of my variable v is. So let's take a minute to look at it. I'm going to make some sense of it now. I've got parentheses that have mixed numbers, adding them together, and then v is going to subtract the sum to equal 10. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and figure out what the value here is. Now I could use the standard algorithm for adding mixed numbers, but I think I'm just going to do it all mentally. I know here that I have 3/5 and 2/5, and anytime you have 3/5 and 2/5, you're going to wind up with 5/5, and 5/5 equals a whole. 4 plus 2 plus the whole is going to equal 7. So I can restate this or rewrite this for a moment as v subtract 7 equals 10. Now here we need to try to figure out what is the value of v. We have in the past been working on inverse operations when we had 1 or 0 on this side of the equal sign. Now we have 10. So I'm going to use the inverse operations to do this. Now, of course, my number sense tells me that v is going to equal 17. My number sense, I see this and I know that right off the bat. But for the benefit of my students, I'm going to show how inverse operations can prove that v will equal 17. So what I need to do here is I need to do the opposite of this operation, subtract. I need to add. And I need to add 7 to this. If I'm subtracting 7, I need to add 7. So I'm going to add 7, and by doing that, it's going to cancel these two values here out. It's going to cancel -7, +7 out, and I'll be left with v. Now, if I add 7 here, I have to add 7 here. So 10 plus 7 equals 17. So I really did use inverse operations to find the value of v. Now, I've had many students, they'll get up here, and what they'll want to do is they'll solve it all mentally. Their number sense will tell them that when they see v subtract 7 equals 10, they'll automatically know that v has to be 17. And instead of telling me that they use mental math, they want to go on about how they use inverse operations. No, that would be mental math. But by working it out this way and showing the inverse operation on this side of the equal sign, I did use inverse operations on this. So this is an example of how I want my students to do this next set of problems, and I hope that it helped them. Now, boys and girls, what score would I deserve if I were a random reporter?
100.
100, yeah. I gave my math practice, and I gave it at the start. Also, I gave a correct answer, and I gave you a pretty good process. And one more thing, I did try to use appropriate vocabulary. When you get up here, I want you to use appropriate vocabulary. If you have to say the word operation, say it. Don't say the sign or whatever. Say operation. And if you have a more sophisticated way of solving, like the part here in parentheses, then say it. You know, say I'm not going to work it out using the standard algorithm. I'm just going to do it mentally. I hope that this demonstration has helped you.